So, kind of like me, we turn our mess into a mission. Yeah. Let's start off kind of at the beginning. When you think back to like the really early stages of your separation and divorce, what stands out to you about kind of what that time felt like for you?
First word that comes to my mind was absolute just confusion. In the marriage, it was just, can I swear on this podcast?
Go ahead.
Mindfuckery.
Yes.
That's what it was, because one day it was like the person was trying to get me back and they were being like on their best behavior. And then the next day we were at war and I was the enemy. It was just whiplash. It was
Yeah.
whiplash.
All right. Welcome or welcome back. If you're a returning listener to the Divorce Coaches Academy podcast. Today is a follow up to last month, and today's episode is another opportunity to hear directly from someone who can share the true impact of working with a DCA certified divorce coach. You know, on this podcast, we typically discuss topics that kind of support divorce coaches and other divorce professionals in their professional practice. But I really believe it's also helpful for y'all to hear from actual clients who can articulate the real and practical ways that divorce coaching helps people navigate this difficult time. So today I am joined by my former client, Dianne Harris. She's the author of Love Bomb. You can see the book here in her screen. It's called Love Bomb. He sold her a dream and delivered a nightmare. And I'm sure that we will get into that and talk about it more. So Dianne, welcome to the podcast. And thanks for taking the time today to come and talk about your experience.
Thank you so much for having me, Deborah. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah. So just as a way of introduction, let me give folks a little bio about you and tell them that you are a relationship coach, a speaker, and an author. So we'll talk about your book again, Love Bomb. He sold her a dream and delivered a nightmare. And what you told me is that after rebuilding your life following an emotionally abusive relationship and divorce, you now help purpose-driven women heal, reclaim their identity, and create healthy, emotionally safe relationships. Through her
Absolutely.
coaching, through Dianne's coaching, writing, and content, which is amazing. I get your newsletter, by the way. Um,
Thank you.
You're empowering women to choose themselves, find their voice, and become the version of themselves, I love this, who no longer settles for less than they deserve. Is there anything you'd like to add to that?
Well, I am uniquely qualified to help the person that I once was, because that was me. And one point, probably about 5 years ago. And so that's I learned the hard way, and
Mm-hmm.
now I help women choose themselves. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So kind of like me, we turn our mess into a mission. Yeah, good, good. All right. Well, I guess just let's start off kind of at the beginning. Um, and say, when you think back to like the really early stages of your separation and divorce, what stands out to you about kind of what that time felt like for you?
First word that comes to my mind was absolute just confusion.
Mm,
Absolute confusion. In the marriage, it was just, can I swear on this podcast?
go ahead.
Mindfuckery.
Yes.
That's what it was, because one day it was like the person was trying to get me back and they were being like on their best behavior. And then the next day we were at war and I was the enemy. So it was just whiplash. It was
Yeah.
whiplash. And I, I had to, protect myself. And that's when I reached out to you, because I had heard you on a podcast. That's what it was. I had heard you on a podcast. I'm like, I think I need some help. I really think I need some help, because I knew I couldn't do it on my own.
Hmm. So remind me, you were already in the process of divorce. You already had an attorney by the time we started working together.
I think what we were doing is we were trying to mediate,
Yeah. Oh,
and
that's
at
right.
that point,
Yes.
I really wasn't convinced that that was going to work.
Hmm.
I think I was hoping that it was going to work. It was my
Okay.
second divorce. My first divorce, we did mediate and it was smooth, but with an antagonistic, dysregulated personality style, I just didn't think it was going to work. So I knew that I needed somebody to kind of guide me and help me along the way
Mhm.
with it. I knew it was becoming high conflict. That's why, you know, I think what happened was I got your book first and I read it
Okay.
like very quickly, and I'm like,
Gotcha.
I found out you were a coach, and I'm like, was in my own certification process during this time, and I need help. I
Yeah.
need help. And
You need
I loved your style.
my style. Well, and that's what as coaches we're not for everybody, but the people that are for us resonate with our vibe and our communication style and everything. And so that resonated for you. When you decided to reach out, what did you understand about divorce coaching at that point, if anything? Like, what did you know about it? Had you
Nothing.
heard of it?
I'd absolutely heard of divorce coaching, and like I said, I was in my own coaching certification process, but I didn't know anything about divorce coaching because I didn't have a divorce coach of my first divorce.
Right.
I had never even had a life coach at that point. And I was in certification process to become a life coach or coach in general. And
Mhm.
so I had been coaching, I've been being coached and training, but I didn't really know much about a divorce coach. No, no,
Okay. Yeah, I mean, most people don't, and
no.
that's part of what we're trying to do is raise awareness. Um, so just kind of walk me through. So you reached out, we did a consult call. You said, "This feels like my person. This person gets
Mm.
what I'm talking about." How would you describe kind of the beginning of our work together? What did that feel like to you?
I remember one of the first things you said was I was reading this one book and it was on covert aggressive narcissist.
Yeah, the covert
And
passive aggressive
yes,
narcissist. Yep.
yeah. And I remember like you had it like right next to you and you're like, "Oh, is this the book?" And you said, "Well, once you read this, you'll have a PhD in narcissism." And and it was like we just connected right away because you knew what I was speaking, because in these relationships they're so confusing
Mhm.
and it's very hard to explain to somebody like what you're actually going through
Right.
because of the the basis of these relationships is so confusing. It's
Mhm.
really hard to explain it to somebody.
Yeah.
So you understood me, uh, and that felt really validating to me. And
Mhm.
I respected the fact that you had had your own situation. You had been doing what you were doing for a long time. You were, you had the financial background where, there was definitely assets involved. I mean,
Mhm.
there was so many boxes that you checked off, and I felt heard, I felt safe,
Mhm.
I felt everything that I didn't feel in that marriage with you. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I just felt protected and I felt like
Mhm.
you were my person." I mean, it was just, yeah, I
Yeah.
had somebody in my corner and it
Mhm.
just felt really good.
Good. Good.
Yeah.
Well, and if I know myself well enough, we probably talked about that book, talked about the fact that you had done enough learning, that you had a PhD in narcissism,
Yeah.
and that we no longer needed to learn anymore about him because it was
Yeah.
now about you and what you
Yeah.
wanted to do and what you were trying to create for your future, right?
Yes. Cause yeah, I did go down that rabbit hole of all the reading all the books and listening to all the podcasts and like crazy, like because of course I was still trying to fix him.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly, right,
Yeah.
or understand him as
Yeah.
opposed to just, "No, I'm just gonna stand in my own sturdiness and
Mhm.
negotiate from here."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So so that's kinda where we started. You felt like just an instant recognition that I understood what you were going through.
Mhm.
You liked the fact that I had some financial background, right? And most divorce coaches should be able to handle most finances, but yours was especially complex, right? Once we got into trying to mediate that.
It
Um,
was, I mean, it was a short-term marriage. It was only 3 years,
mhm,
and there wasn't any prenuptial agreement. It was never even brought up, and he had a lot of assets, and it was never brought up. I mean, I would have entertained that because we were middle aged getting married, but it was never brought up, not once.
Mhm.
So,
Not once.
you, I'm sure you've heard of this before, when you don't know who you're actually marrying until you divorce them. So yeah,
So
yeah.
true. Yeah.
Hmm.
So you start into mediating with this man who has significant assets, not only in dollar amount, but in number. It was
Hmm.
complex in terms of the number of assets that we had to catalog and talk about and all those things. And then you're also dealing with a person who feels entitled that it's all theirs and was not really participating in the process. So how would you say our work together kind of helped you step through how you negotiated while you were in mediation?
I would say that you were definitely like the voice of reason for me, because I think I would started to gaslight myself, because you, between you and my attorneys, I was entitled to certain things that even I was like saying, why am I entitled to these things? Well, it's because being married is the contract, right?
Right.
So,
Right.
if we bought these things together, even if it was, I didn't put money into it, it's marital money,
Mhm.
so the education there was there.
Yeah.
And I need to have a future as well, you
Right.
know. So, thank God we did not have children together. But you were the voice of reason, and one thing that you introduced me to as well was just the concept of flooding. I remember that because, like,
Mhm.
I didn't have terminology for that, but when you explained that to me, I was like, yes, that's it. Like, because he could easily flood me, like my
Yeah.
emotions would get flooded, and I just didn't have the terminology. But when you taught me that, I was like, yes, that's what that is, and how to deal with that when that would happen,
When
and
that
how
was
to like
happening.
disengage and like step away and be calmer and more grounded and take a break, and
Yeah. Have
those
some
those things all help.
strategies, have some
Hmm.
tools, be able to improve your distress tolerance. Right. And
Yeah.
then uh, the other thing I recall, and let's talk about this, is like when you work with attorneys, they're very focused on what you're entitled to, right? And this whole legal process you can go through to get every penny you're entitled to. And I think you and I early on started having more of a discussion around what do you need versus what you're entitled to. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes.
'Cause I think that's important.
Yes. That was one of the first questions you asked me, is
Mm,
what do you want and what do you need? And I remember saying, like, I want a home for me and my children, because that's what women like, that's what we're designed for, right? We want to care and provide for our children, right?
mhm,
And then we went right into, like, well, what does that look like? How much is that going to cost, like, reasonably? Like, we don't need a $1 million home. How much is that going to cost? Are we going to buy? Are we going to rent? How many bedrooms do we need? And so
mhm.
that was really calming, and we got to work on that.
Yeah, yeah, kind
And
of
it was tough because it was COVID. It was COVID when we worked
yes.
together. So that was really difficult.
It was
Very,
hard,
very, very
right?
difficult.
But you went out and you did the work of like, how much would a home the
Hmm.
size that I want in the school district that I want, how much would that cost? And then you
Hmm.
said, I would like to have a little bit of secure retirement. Okay, let's run some numbers. What does that number look like? And you said, and then I would like to have some income. Okay,
Right.
how much would you need to have in the bank to generate that income? Assuming we don't want to rely on a promise breaker to make
Hmm.
alimony payments, what would that look like? And we were able to actually come up with a number, right? When
Yeah.
we added the
Yeah.
house, the retirement, what you would need in an investment account to generate that income, which I think gave you a really strong position in your negotiation instead of doing all the discovery and getting all the documents and paying forensic accountants and doing all that work. You were able to come to the table with a number and say, this is my walk away number. If I get this, I'm good.
Hmm. Yeah.
Right.
It
And
went, yeah, it did go sideways a few times, but that's to be
uh
expected. Yeah.
Yeah.
but and you'll
Yeah.
find when you you'll read about it in the book.
Yeah. I do have the book. I've started reading it. I
Yeah,
was totally transparent with Diane. I have not finished it yet,
that's
but I
okay.
look forward
You'll
to and we'll talk about the book, but y'all really
yeah,
she went through it. I'm just telling you that. She went through it.
yeah,
Um but if I recall, that was kind of a difference that allowed you to get to the finish line probably a lot more quickly than you would have if you had done the traditional legal process of doing discovery on every one of those hundreds of assets and having forensic people look at everything. And
yeah. That's I'm so glad I didn't do that because it's the time and it's the money, and then the lawyer. It's true what they say is the attorneys are the ones that do win, and it's already so emotional, and I was already so emotionally abused for
yeah,
8 years, and then 2 years of the divorce. So it was a full decade.
it
It was a
was a
full decade of being abused. So
yeah, yeah. And
and
I
not
think
really knowing it. So
no, but I think the other shift we were able to work on for you and chime in and correct me if I'm not recalling this, but this idea that why am I losing my train of thought? Oh, trying to identify, we talk a lot in our training with our new coaches about cognitive empathy. I don't have to care about the other person, but can I get in their mind and figure out what's important? And one of the things you identified when we started talking about what's important to, what do you think is most important to him? And it was, you
mhm,
said, he doesn't want anybody looking up his skirt. He doesn't want anybody looking at his books. He doesn't want
yeah,
anybody looking at the numbers behind the scenes of what's going on.
yeah,
Right.
right,
And
right,
so that's when you use that to your advantage to say, okay, if you don't want to go through all of this, here's my number.
hmm right,
Right. So we talk a lot about interest based negotiation, and this is understanding what's important to the other person, whether it's time with the kids or monthly income. And in your case, you very clearly identified that he was so resistant to providing the documentation and mediation that you really needed to make a good decision. And you
right.
identified that that probably was most important to him, is he did not want somebody uh, in his QuickBooks looking at
Well,
things.
no, no. I think that's a lot of men don't, but that's fine. I mean, I guess I can understand that now looking back. I
Yeah.
guess I wouldn't either, you know, but
Right, and we're not saying he was doing anything wrong, it's just
yeah,
entitled people typically feel
yeah,
a really big sense of ownership and privacy over that, and so
yeah,
I think that was a turning point for you too, is when you identified that, then we were able to strategize what might be effective in
yeah,
getting this agreement to the finish line in a way that felt not like you won, but satisfying to you,
right,
like it was
right.
enough. Um How would you say that working with me or having the support of a divorce coach impacted things like the amount of conflict you had, how long your process took, how much it costs, how dysregulated you were?
It helped me tremendously. I mean, the divorce did take 2 years because of
Mhm.
COVID.
Yeah.
So it was a 2-year divorce for a 3-year marriage. And I
Yeah.
think because it was such it was so
There
high
it is.
conflict. Yeah, it was so high conflict because I was with a high conflict personality style,
Yes.
and it was so it was so back and forth with the like, every he would still try to get me back, like even after he filed. Like he was the one that filed and with a expired um I forget what they're called, but an expired whatever they're called when they serve you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, it was just a whirlwind of whiplashing confusion. So, uh I think that if I didn't have the support, I think I could have crumbled. I think I really
Mhm.
could have gone into fetal position and just completely crumbled. And I did cave a lot. I caved a lot. Even when I had you, I caved
Mhm. Well,
because it was so easy to get sucked back in. Um
yeah.
And
I
but I
don't,
finally did choose myself. I
yeah.
finally did.
And if I can just reframe it, I think we're working together. I wouldn't say you caved. What I would say is there are times that you chose to pay the price of freedom.
Yeah. Thank
It
you.
wasn't,
That's a nice reframe.
it was often an intentional decision on your part to compromise on some things or take a number lower or
It wasn't
give up.
even that. It was more what I just to it was more like he would like I caved in on like choosing myself and I gave him another chance.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Because
that's right.
there was like, oh, well, maybe this person can help fix him. You
Hmm.
know, I remember you talking with me about the center of peace. I'm like, oh, well, maybe she can help him. You know,
Right.
like, oh, send him to her program.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
It's, it's hard to put down the hopium pipe, as the chump lady would say, right? That's not my
the
phrase. It's the
hopium
chump
pipe.
lady. But she calls it the
Yeah,
hopium pipe, and I think
yeah,
it is not uncommon at all to keep hitting the pipe a few times,
yeah. I
right?
smoked that damn pipe until it was dead. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Hmm.
it burned out, and then we got down to business,
Yeah,
and whew, eventually
I did.
you got through it.
I did.
What would you say surprised you the most about the experience of divorce and or the experience of working with a coach for your divorce?
What surprised me the most about the divorce? Oh, with this particular person, I think at the end, what surprised me the most was that I guess I should say this surprised me about me was that I
Mm,
actually didn't think that he was a liar until the end. So I really learned a lot about myself because I believed every word this man said until the end. And then
yeah,
I was like, wow. Like, so I learned a lot about myself because
mhm,
he was not the person that I thought he was.
right.
So this is what, hence the
And
reason why I've been
you
single.
resisted that for quite a while.
Oh, I did. And
Yeah,
so hence the reason why I've been single for 5 years. And I've really just put the work in on myself. And,
mhm,
I I mean, I'm not going to change myself. I'm still a lover and an empath. But I've just learned now not to take people at face value anymore. Like,
yeah.
people need to earn my trust. Um,
Yeah,
I still believe in love.
they don't get into the inner circle right away.
No, and
There's a
I
time
still believe
period.
in love. I still believe in
Yeah,
it. He is a very unfortunately broken, person that
yeah,
just lies his way through life, unfortunately.
yeah.
But I would recommend a divorce coach like yourself, and I'm sure your students to anybody.
Mm,
Yeah, I had
yeah.
an incredible experience with you, and I think I
Oh,
would have been really chewed up and spit out if I didn't have you, more so than I was.
yeah.
Hmm.
You didn't get through it unscathed.
I didn't.
But I
No.
mean, divorcing someone with a little bit of a character disorder or that creates as much chaos as yours did, um, it's traumatic.
Hmm.
We get beat up doing it. Um, but hopefully we minimized some of the damage or at least mitigated some of it. And I appreciate you being so transparent and honest about what the experience was like for you. And, I don't have a magic wand. I can't fix everything as a coach, but it sounds like you still felt supported and felt like there was value and that um, you got through it
Yeah.
a little better because I was around.
100%. Absolutely.
Good. Um, and what stands out to me most about your story is yes, it was legally complicated. Yes, it was a little financially complicated. Um, but it's how you really did wake up. You really did choose yourself. You really were
Hmm.
focused on getting free so that you could build the life you deserve. And that's what now you're helping your clients do, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of men and women out there like that.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
is.
That kind of need that. So if we have people listening today, they're in the middle of kind of that right now and feeling really overwhelmed and feeling defeated, what would you want them to hear?
I would say that they should reach out for support because I mean, even this is the time to do it.
Mm,
I mean, this is one of the biggest decisions of your life is to get a divorce. And
yes.
this is the time to get support because it can really save a lot of time and effort and money. You can save a lot of money to hire a divorce coach.
Yeah. Thank you
Even
for
though
saying that. We tell
even
people
though it
that.
costs yeah, even though it costs money, it can
Mhm.
save you a lot of money.
It seems counterintuitive, right?
Yeah.
But I
Well,
do
and
think it's
it's
true.
it's way less than an attorney. That's for sure.
Yes, especially yeah, a lot
Yeah.
less. Um,
Mhm.
thanks for sharing that. So if you're listening and some of this is resonating, if you're curious about what working with a divorce coach might look like, I want to encourage you to go to the website, divorcecoachesacademy.com. We have a coach locator there of all the coaches we've trained in a foundation of alternative dispute resolution, which is actually trying to stay out of court, trying to make those good decisions so that you
Mhm.
actually can navigate it with a little less overwhelm and a little more clarity. Diane, I don't want to hop off here without the opportunity for you to talk a little bit about your book and then tell people where they can connect with you. Where can they order the book and what kind of coaching support do you offer?
The book is on Amazon. It's Love Bomb, and it's the subtitle I think is phenomenal. It's He Sold Her a Dream and Delivered a Nightmare.
Mm-hmm. And we'll
And
have
it's
the link in the show notes.
yes, and you can find me at dianneharris.com, which was two N's, two R's. And yes, and you can read my story is it's pretty raw, it's pretty real, and it's very authentic, and it's something it's I've gotten really incredible feedback so far. So
Yeah.
I think even you, Deb, when you read the rest of it, you're gonna because there's a lot in there that you don't know. So I'm looking forward
Okay.
to hearing what you have to say.
Gotcha. Yeah. Trust me,
Yeah.
guys. She went through it.
Hmm.
She went through it. This man tried to pull everything out of the hat that he could to discredit you and make you crumble, and yet you didn't. So
Hmm.
kudos to
No,
you for that.
no. And if I can get through it, anybody can.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So I again, I want to thank you. I think it's so meaningful to have folks listening hear from a client's perspective, what difference it really made in your divorce, in your process, in your
Hmm.
ability to now recover now that you've been through it, right? Because that's really what it's all about is we've got to get through it to get on the other side, right? And that's what stands out to me is you divorced someone that was so difficult, made life
Hmm.
so hard for you. Um, and yet you remained committed. You believed life was going to be better on the other side and you were going to stick
Yes,
through it. Yeah. Awesome. All right.
definitely.
Any last words you want to share with folks before we kind of call it a day?
Yes. When I get asked this question, it is always listen to your intuition. Because if I had, I would never have gotten into that relationship in the first place. But listen to your intuition. Listen to your gut. It's always right.
It's always right. Ditto. Ditto, ditto. Yeah, that is very important, and we discount ourselves. We don't listen to
Yes.
our second brain and our gut and
Yes.
what it's telling us. So, okay. Well, thank you all for joining us. Diane, thank you so much for taking time out of your very busy schedule to come on here and chat.
Thank you, Deborah. This has been wonderful. I appreciate it so much.
Awesome. All right, guys, we'll be back next week with another topic about divorce and divorce coaching and how it helps folks navigate with more clarity and less overwhelm. We'll talk to you then.
And bye bye.